The wind rushed into London's face and threw it into a tropical place. The change to multicolored faces, true to different races. The world outside the kingdom were where they left their traces. We are the children of the sugar, blended and refined but even coarser. We are here to stay as we swim around in the mannish water of your politics. My name is Yasmin Nicholas. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, which includes poetry and word as my main discipline. I work around film, photography, and also painting and sewing. The topics around my work centre around the Caribbean diaspora, identity, and belonging as well, especially as a Black British woman. Trying to find your identity sometimes, it can be quite hard. It can be quite difficult to sometimes be understood as well as heard. At the moment, there are a lot more opportunities for us, and it's incredible. I was born here in London. However, my background origins consist of the countries from the Caribbean, Dominica and St. Lucia. Sometimes it can be a bit hard to hold on to some of the culture that you have been given. You've been able to experience some, but it's not as much as somebody who comes from there. My grandparents gave me a lot of that culture through food, through stories as well, and through a lot of my photography and film. I've been able to create something out of that. The children of builders, labourers, makers of shoes, the grandchild of a tailor and a hairdresser, the foundation infused. It's been really fascinating to me hearing the different dialects around the Caribbean as well as my own from my granddad's influence. It's been a thing where I've been able to kind of learn words and construct sentences which are half English or maybe half Creole, and kind of figure out the dominance between the two and how people relate to both languages in one sentence.
My name is Magda Kuza. I'm a photographer, artist and educator. I explore subjects such as identity, memory, ethnological investigations by utilizing historic photography processes such as wet collodion, cyanotype and many other techniques that are coming from the 19th century. I started exploring sort of more hands-on approaches very early on. It's something that you touch and you smell the chemistry, and that always quite excites me in a way. Because of the way that process works, it allows you to take just a single photograph within a certain time frame, so that makes you think very differently about the subjects, and the way that models feel in front of the camera is very different. There is a kind of mutual respect in a way to the craft of photography and between each other. I come from a small post-industrial town southeast of Poland. 5 years ago I moved to London and I set up myself in Brent. I thought I'm leaving my old life behind and family behind. No, cześć.
Dzień dobry, cześć, dobry wieczór.
But I slowly realized that I've taken a lot of those values with me and that I'm not so different from my parents or grandmother. I see like a lot of them within me and within my work. Grandmothers is a very personal project to me. It's a wet collodion series of portraits that I've taken of my grandma, exploring the ideas of Slavic heritage. She was very comfortable in front of the camera, something I didn't know about her before, and it's not something she picked up anywhere else. She sort of was very focused on it as a task, like, okay, we have to do that. It was the middle of winter and -10, and I would work the wet plates in a little tent, trying for the water not to freeze.
My name is Reilly. I am a social designer and applied artist. Growing up mixed race and queer in Brent, I think has been really difficult, if I'm honest. I would feel I haven't always been accepted for who I am, but in a strange way, I think that's made me much more of an interesting, fiery person. Unfortunately, in a lot of communities, being queer is not accepted, and sometimes we're made to feel that we're disgusting, or we don't represent that community and we don't belong in that community. When I was younger, I was always just interested in paintings and the clothing that was in the images and the wigs and the makeup and the set design. Whereas later on in life, I think when I was going with friends and I started realizing actually I don't feel represented in these images, and there's no one in these images that looks like people I know or people in my family. Why is there not a gorgeous black woman in the painting in this gallery, or a gorgeous Asian man in this photograph? I think that I have a responsibility as an artist and a designer to really question things in society that I do not agree with, or that I do not find comfortable, or that I think other people may not have the confidence to speak about. Fashioning Our History was very much about looking at how we can take inspiration from fashion and art and tell the history of Brent. But it was also about people telling their individual histories and their individual stories, and using elements of the 18th century that are very aristocratic and not inclusive at all, and then using that as a canvas to kind of create this social change message that actually we can reclaim these forms of art and we can reclaim these forms of fashion and actually tell stories that are more accessible for the community. I think that it's been really exciting to hear the wider voice of queer people coming to community spaces. I feel that it's something that does need to be focused on in local communities, because I think that there are so many local narratives that I think are ignored and are put under the carpet that have been really influential and people have not realised.
I want people who see my work to sort of stop for a moment, think, and maybe reflect on their own heritage, their own family values.
I think it's very important that we look to heritage to also think about how we can create change for the future.
Where your DNA lies, you have great people who came before you. I feel like it's important to know that your origins also help make you who you are.